report. And up front tonight, now I want to bring in the former White House Deputy Press Secretary Bill Burton and the Communications Director at the Republican National Committee, Sean Spicer. So, Bill, you just heard Joe Johns reporting there that the Obama administration knew in September that the website wasn't ready to go live. People seeing what really happened and the scale of the problems thus far ask fairly, how could they have ignored that, it seems?
Well, I don't think anyone is ignoring any of the problems that are happening. But what is happening is thousands upon thousands of people are successfully going online and able to sign up for health care, which they may have not had before or had access to before. There are obvious problems with the website. There's obvious problems with the way this was rolled out. But at the end of the day, the long-term effects of this law are going to have such a vast positive impact on the lives of so many Americans that these short-term health website problems are just that, short-term website problems that can be fixed.
And look, you may be absolutely right about that, Bill. History could prove you 1,000% right, but still, there's got to be some frustration, right, that warnings were given and, you know, nothing was done.
Well, there's no doubt that there's frustration that this isn't all going perfectly, but no big program rolls out, no big product rolls out without having any problems or glitches. Even when new iPhones and iPads come onto the market, there's problems, but that doesn't mean that they aren't completely dominating the phone and the tablet market. The issue is that technology sometimes takes some time to work out the kinks, to figure out what the problems are, get in there and fix them, and make sure that people have health care. But the bottom line is that you got to look at the long term. Like short term, a couple of weeks, a couple of months where the website is having some problems. Yes, it's frustrating, but in the long term, this is going to have a really positive impact on our country.
All right, Sean, do you buy that at all?
Well, no. There's on several fronts. One, in the private sector, there's accountability. What we've heard is cover up. I didn't know. I'm not sure what's more troubling, what they did know and didn't act on, or on issue after issue, what they seem to not know. There's a big problem going on about what people in the government know and don't know, and who's being held accountable. And frankly, it's nobody. And I think, unlike Bill's example on the iPhone and all the other products that come out of the private sector, is that people are held accountable, and that this sort of behavior would never be tolerated. But I will agree with Bill on this one quick point. In the short term, the website will get fixed. This is not about a website. Long term, it's going to be about this. Letters that colleagues and friends of mine are getting all over the country that say, hey, your health care is going to be dropped from now on. You have to go out and buy new health care. The plan that you were promised you could keep, you are not allowed to keep, and you're probably going to pay more for it. So I think that the long-term problem, the website is just a short-term problem. I think that in itself, we've got a lot of issues with accountability and wastes of hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars. But the long-term problem is that the costs are going to be borne by the American people, who are going to have to buy new plans, who are not getting promised to keep the plan they want.
Let me just ask you about this, because I got A words here to talk about: apology, accountability, and one of them will be inappropriate. But first, let's start off with accountability, which Sean just mentioned. Bill, the first official Obamacare apology came today. Someone being accountable. Here it is.
I want to apologize to you that the website has not worked as well as it should. I want to assure you that healthcare.gov can and will be fixed.
Now, Bill, of course, that was the Medicare chief, Marilyn Tavenner. But you know, a lot of people say, shouldn't someone else be saying sorry? Someone like the president or Kathleen Sebelius?
I mean, this is such a Washington game, right? Spicer talks about, oh, there's no accountability, nobody's responsibility. You saw the head of CMS in that video take responsibility and apologize for it today. The president has acknowledged that there were problems. Secretary Sebelius has acknowledged that there are problems. The Washington game of parsing who's saying what, when, it's irrelevant to what the situation is right now, which is that there's a website. It's helping thousands upon thousands of people get health care. It's got some problems that are getting fixed, and it's going to be a long-term solution to the health care crisis in this country. So, yes, there should be accountability. There should be accountability, and there absolutely is. And I'm not going to take advice on government waste when the Republican Party just shut down the government to the tune of $24 billion for no reason whatsoever. So I think that there has been accountability, and these problems are being fixed, but this is a short-term problem.
So who's being held accountable? What person? Name the person. Who's being held accountable?
You just saw that tape. I mean,
name one person.
You saw that just same as me, right?
You spent $400 million.
What are you saying, Sean? Are you asking Bill should someone be fired and who?
No, I'm saying that if somebody, I mean, her coming out 3 weeks later, it's now the middle of October, the end of October rather, and you have the head of CMS coming out and saying, hey, I'm sorry about this. And frankly, for 3 weeks we've been hearing about glitches and this was about demand and actually isn't a big problem. I think that calling that accountable is ridiculous. That's not accountable. Accountable is on day one saying we blew $400 million of the taxpayers' money. Somebody's going to get fired on this. But saying like, hey, 5 weeks
Republicans
later,
had this kind of energy about getting people covered with health insurance. Instead, it's about glitches on a website. And
I'm equally concerned about everyone who's getting one of these letters, Bill, who's getting all these people from California to Florida who's getting a letter in their mailbox or an email saying, hey, the plan that you have is getting terminated. Your employer terminating their health care. I care about those people.
Okay, and let me, I have to change the topic here because I want to get to the other A word, and that A word is the one I'm going to say on this show. But it is making headlines. Tom Coburn, you both heard it, the Republican senator reportedly said, and I'll quote him, sadly I don't have the audio, there's no comedy with Harry Reid. I think he's an absolute a-hole. Why go there? All right, Sean, how do you defend that? I mean, Senator Coburn is usually a guy who often takes the high road, but I mean, this is the kind of stuff that makes Washington look pathetic.
Well, I'm not going to defend the use of that kind of language, but I think that you're right in your description of Senator Coburn. He is somebody who constantly reaches across despite his views and his firmness on policy issues, is always looking to reach across the aisle and work with people to make this government more accountable and better. And so I think to have him reach that level of frustration, and it's something that bears out in Mark Leibowitz's book, that Senator Reid is not somebody who likes to work with others and plays well. I mean, so I don't maybe use the word. It may have been inappropriate, but I think that the sentiment expressed by Senator Coburn is something that probably Harry Reid's own colleagues would agree with on his side of the aisle.
And Bill, quickly before we go, Harry Reid's response was, this is childish playground name-calling, especially from a senator who hasn't sponsored a single piece of successful bipartisan legislation during his career. Hardly taking the high road, Reid.
Harry Reid is a guy who's about getting things done. He's the man who was able to get the government back open, get the debt ceiling raised, actually move things forward. And it's hard to take seriously the notion that anyone is really that open to working across the lines. They're using that kind of language in a public setting to describe their colleagues. Hard to make any progress when that's how you're going about it.
Called the President of the United States a liar. I mean, Harry Reid's not exactly someone who's demonstrated good behavior ever.
All right, well, we're gonna leave it there.
I'm sure I'll call you and check in on behavior.
I will say this. I think that Bill was correct when he said there's very few people who want to reach across the aisle. I think we can all agree with that. Well, our sixth story out.